Marry me and welcome to Lux Dragon Queen Magic. I'm Taylor and today is our Divine Feminine Collective reading. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And so we do actually have Bridget coming forward for us this week. We have the Goddess of the Eternal Flame. I am Eternal Flame and each day my light grows ever brighter. This is absolutely beautiful. So Bridget is also a representation of the maiden. So this is actually confirmation that she is coming forward. Something too that is very interesting is I don't typically always look at the shadow and I never really share it since it's not an active card within the reading. But Bridget actually was a shadow card last week that did support in forming last week's reading. So it's very interesting that this week she came out in full force. So it's very good confirmation too that means that for everyone here, you have definitely been putting in the work that you need to be into whatever projects, whatever self-development you have been working on. So you can take this however you need to and know it as confirmation that you have been doing good work. And the other thing that we're really seeing is this very much a reawakening within the Divine Feminine. So the main message I'm getting, because there's a lot of things in how you can relate to Bridget and how she is represented. So I'm being told mainly if she really resonates to you, you want to know more about her, go ahead and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn. You might have some different messages that will attain to your certain circumstances. But ultimately what I'm seeing for everyone here though is that she is again confirmation that you are in alignment and that you are following your intuition and trusting yourself. And with that you are also, I'm hearing, able to support others in learning what it means to trust their intuition and really to trust into you. So I'm hearing it seems like maybe there's been some broken bonds, right? That's kind of something that comes up often within this channel. But in this sense, though, we're seeing that there is this re-emergence of connectivity between those bonds. So the trust is being rebuilt, and we're seeing the confirmation that you're able to move forward as you are. So it's this really great just rebuilding of trust between you and those around you. So it's not necessarily just you and a partner. It is also those and maybe your familiar relationships and your friendships, maybe coworkers as well, maybe to a little bit of trust being built between like your mentors trusting in you more as well, giving you more responsibility. That's something too coming up. Again, confirmation that you have been doing good work in regards to your projects, whatever that may mean, and you are being rewarded for them is what is very much coming through. So go you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the tarot. And so I love it. Right away, we kind of got that beautiful confirmation already of this 10 of Pentacles. So what I'm hearing from Spirit is, it's so, okay, we have a few different messages. So essentially what I'm hearing is the 10 of Pentacles is going to be very subjective to everyone around what does it truly mean to have your foundation set and to be growing upon those. And what I'm hearing too is something that you can review to really understand more about the abundance that you have right now is to understand maybe the new traditions that you're excited to see again next year. So you've already been putting in like some good work. Maybe you've already have some like long-term projects and goals. And so that is a really great way to look into the future and say, oh, look at these foundations or these seeds that I've planted this year and how they will continue to bring forth new growth for me in these coming years later. And that is really what a tradition is. So you can apply it in that way, or you can of course apply it in the more traditional way in the sense that it is a heritage from your family or culture aspect that you continue throughout. But something I'm getting through from Spirit is something you've been doing is creating new cultures, new traditions for yourself based off of your life and how you've lived it. And I'm really hearing like you're breaking out of some limiting beliefs that have held you back before. And that's really the reason why you're able to get into this 10 of Pentacles, because you are in that moment of creating these you are past that moment of creating these foundations to where they are now going to continuously cycle through your life as they are meant to. And it's this really great, beautiful energy that whatever project you have been working on, like normally we see initial completion around the 3 of Pentacles, and then again at the 7 of Pentacles is when it typically is like harvest or time to recommit. And if I recall, actually, we did see the 7 of Pentacles come up for the Divine Feminine a couple weeks ago. And so this is now saying that recommitment that you either made to continue with your harvest or to try a new path. Like now you are still moving forward into that 10 of Pentacles energy. And so this is, again, just beautiful confirmation that what you have been working on is going to be paying off in I was going to say in spades, which is ironic because, as we've talked about, spades are considered swords. So definitely take that however it resonates. Yeah, maybe you're getting like so many ideas and technological advances or something. Anyways, let's go ahead. We do have some more tarot for you. Okay, and so we do have the Two of Swords coming out for you. So what I'm seeing is that there is still some moment of indecision, some willful indecision. And I apologize. I'm trying to think. I know the Two of Swords has come up recently, and I believe it was for the Divine Masculine. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, again, we're seeing this very beautiful mirroring image between the two of you. So it must have been in a past week one, because it wouldn't have been this week's, because we're not using that tarot this week. But anyways, so the reason why I'm saying that is because now it seems like the Divine Feminine is going to be faced with a choice between their head and their heart. And so something coming through from Spirit is that it's going to be very important now. You have turned into the Maiden again. You're rebuilding trust. And so that's why this decision is a little bit more difficult for you, because a lot of your mental energy is saying, no, this is not a good way forward. I don't want to do this. While a lot of how you're feeling and what your heart wants to do, maybe even your like soul intuition, is saying to move forward in that direction. So ultimately what I'm hearing from Spirit is to always trust your intuition, but if you need to, just work with yourself to understand what it means to get into the right mindset so that you can go ahead and mentally prepare yourself for making the decision that your heart wants to do. So it's kind of like debating with yourself and letting your heart win, and using your very creative mental mind to support that. So take it how you will. That might have sounded very roundabout, but here we are. We do have another for you. Okay, and so we do have the Three of Wands. So I'm really getting this sense of passion, and this one very much is around like building. Wow, okay. Because normally we see like a TP is a home, and normally when we see like building a home, it's in the Four. So something very interesting coming through from this card is you have like through the Three of Wands, typically that is like, great, now is the time for expansion. But what I'm seeing is that you have quite literally almost completed your expansion, and that really you are able to now celebrate the horizon forward. So you kind of like have built your foundation to the point where you're like, okay, great, I always have a safe place to come back to. Now I can take these tools to expand myself further, and then we just have this great beautiful horizon supporting you and showing you like, yes, there is like more light coming to you. And I actually think horizon was a word that came out in the Divine Masculine reading as well in regards to faith. So something very interesting coming up too is you might be expanding your faith and spirituality and how you see it. And this is confirmation from Spirit that at your core, you still know who you are. And they're not asking you to start over, right? You're simply choosing to explore now, and I'm hearing to allow yourself to give grace and allow yourself to enjoy these moments, because and trust in the fact that you do have this home within your heart that you built and that you trust. Like, you're not leaving it, you're not abandoning it, you're simply adjusting things outside of it. So that seems very important too. So you're adjusting things outside of it. You're not necessarily changing any perspectives that you've already built really firmly into your foundation. You're simply removing any fear-based beliefs, or becoming more dynamic and eclectic in your faith, which we talk about often here. Okay, so there are certainly quite a few messages there. The main thing I really want to point out in regards to all of these tarot, though, is that Spirit is confirming that you are at this point where you can trust the process and trust in your divine timing and trust that you are getting everything that you set out for. So all your intentions are being answered, and yes, I absolutely love that. So let's go ahead. We actually have quite a few shadow tarot that came out. So right off the bat, we do have the King of Wands coming out. So this makes a lot of sense, because this is twofold. So I'm hearing for some who are here and talking about partnerships, this is very much related to your partner and trying to see them in this new light, right? So what I'm hearing for those in regards to their partnerships, this is your partner has become a lot more creative, responsible, kind of like really everything that you kind of really wished for. That sounds odd because we don't wish for our partners to change, right? But I'm just seeing like your partner has become so more thoroughly themselves that they are able to share with the external world, and it makes you a little bit more nervous and triggers some shadows within you. Something too with this is you might be thinking that this change is come about not because of you, but because of someone else in their world, and so that of course is another shadow. And so the other thing that is coming through though too, for those where this is more about their own internal energies and balancing that out, is you might be struggling now with transitioning from a Queen of Wands energy into a King of Wands energy, and allowing your internal self to become more external. So even though you very much have all of these like set up and Spirit saying like you can trust in this process, you very much are not really wanting to trust into the external world yet with your thoughts and ideas, and that is the shadows that's being triggered for you. So the main thing I'm hearing for this kind of shadow is to work through it, is to just, the awareness is going to be key, and they're just kind of not to let your mind ruminate about it, but to understand where your shadow is coming from is going to understand why you're feeling this indecision. And essentially, as I'm hearing, like as you start to think about the situation more, you're either going to find passions or motivation, or your mind is going to logically debate a positivity for you, especially if you open up yourself to Spirit and your faith, because then those are only going to be encouraging words. So they're only going to, it's kind of like that best friend who like only hypes you up kind of situation. Like, yeah, sometimes they're going to give you the harsh truth, but right now, like the thing that you can rely on is that they are going to tell you every great avenue that you can take in order to trust this process and the reasons why. And also they're going to give you like creative ways to express yourself in a way that is comfortable for you. So if you are like, I'm not comfortable showing public speaking yet, comes up often, I'm not comfortable in doing public speaking yet, then your spirit guide might lead you instead to start writing a blog. And that is like something where you can really handle the level of social interaction that you're working with versus directly speaking and talking to people. And so it's just this interesting conversation between spirit around what you're comfortable with and what you are excited to do. Okay, so for your next tarot, we have the Four of Swords. Okay, so this is very interesting. What I'm hearing, the sense that this is actually coming up as a shadow, is the fact that you want to retreat so much and maintain essentially we use this imagery often, but essentially the butterfly, you essentially are trying to stay in your cocoon when you are well past the moment when you are ready to emerge, is really the feeling that I'm getting from this Four of Swords. So for some of you, this is where you are going to need to use your intuition and your discernment, in the sense of some of you do not take enough breaks, and that may be part of your shadow. But for most of you here, I am hearing it is mainly that you are trying so hard not to become a part of the external world, and you are trying to stay in this moment of rest and solitude. And Spirit is encouraging you. That's why you're facing this indecision. That's why you're being told to explore. That's why you're being confirmed like you have done the work, but you still have this sense of fear. So you are still rebuilding this. So definitely working again around like why you don't want to go out into the external world is going to be very important for you. And like what exactly, something too that I heard was, so you've learned so many lessons and now it's time to apply them. And so a way to work with this shadow is understanding exactly how you've learned those lessons, getting excited about that and all your progress. Because most of the time when you get very excited about that, then you want to share what you're doing and the good work that you're doing. Yes, there might be a little bit of fear around that. That's why Spirit is encouraging you to work with them in regards to understanding what could be a safe way, a comfortable way for you to move forward in expressing that, especially if you are with your divine masculine. That might be a good starting point for you. And then because they may even have certain ideas too, because a lot of here we're having some mirroring situations that are happening, so you guys might be thinking about the same things. And so if you just add that level of communication and come out of this Four of Swords moment, you are going to face some wins. Yes, there still might be disappointments, but that is just because it is part of life. But you are meant to move forward is the main message coming through from Spirit. Okay, and then we do also have the Eight of Swords. Now we are going to go ahead and keep this as reverse, and ultimately what I'm hearing again, this is Spirit coming through very much to comment that now this is again about a mental battle, about you not wanting to remove yourself from your limitations. So And it's interesting that we have the 4 because then we're seeing like it's almost this doubled up energy. So for some of you, it is going to be a lot of shadow work, and that is okay. I know at the time of this recording, we are actually going into like a gaining phase, or the waxing phases of the moon. So instead of focusing on what you're losing, you're going to instead want to focus on what you are gaining. And that's going to really support you in understanding, one, not only your abundance, you're going to see these 10 of Pentacles, right? You're going to see the lessons that you've learned, and it's going to help you break free of this. So the other thing I'm seeing, the fact that this is reversed is telling me that it is more possible than you believe it to be. So Spirit, yeah, so the reason why I say that, so the 8 of Swords already is like being tied up, being very tied up on its own, and then now we see it reverse. So literally you're being turned on top of your head, and so it makes the situation seem a lot worse than it is. So that's why Spirit is saying like that even that is an illusion. How bad it seems is an illusion coming through, and everything is it's so perfectly possible to cut through it, is what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm also hearing too, because we did have the 9 of Swords come up for the Divine Masculine, so they themselves are facing a lot of fears and anxieties right now, and I'm hearing like maybe both of you are not really communicating that to each other. So this is again going to be something you're going to want to kind of put it out there, because the more that you let something ruminate within inside of you, it take this how it resonates with you, but if you let it ruminate inside of you, it kind of like bounces back around it to where the vibration of it gets louder and louder. And so instead you need to express it out into the universe so that it can be dispersed, because it really is less of a matter than you think it is. Especially I'm hearing if this has anything to do with your relationships. Again, Spirit coming through saying that you can trust in the work that you have done. Also, you can trust in your discernment. So I'm hearing some reasons why you might not be moving forward is because you know that a certain relationship is going to be ending. And if you make these steps, if you take this decision, just because it is the natural way of life and how that relationship is going to go. And it's nothing against you or that person. You very much recognize this, but you're fearful of how this other person will feel about it. So what I'm hearing from Spirit is twofold. One, trust the process. Trust that not only will you be able to effectively communicate this to them with empathy and love, you will also hear, you will either not be affected by their negative response, like you will have grown emotionally mature to where you can still love them through that moment. Or, and this is going to be for most people, what's going to happen is that they themselves are going to be like, I've been feeling this way too. And it's going to be this really great moment where you guys are able to come together so that you can come apart. And it's just a natural ending that doesn't have to be more scary than it is made. Something too I'm hearing from Spirit is like this conversation is going to happen. So we do have a couple more tarot cards coming out, but I would be shocked if we see anything around the 7 of Swords. The reason why I'm saying that is because I'm seeing like we even skipped over it here from the 4 to the 8. So I'm really seeing from Spirit like there isn't a way around this moment. There isn't a way around this conversation, especially not one that won't hurt you, which is why they're saying, no, the conversation will happen because you're so in alignment. It would hurt you too much for it not to. So take that how it resonates. I feel like I can ramble on a little bit more about what I mean for that. So we're going to kind of leave it there and just step into your next tarot. Okay, and so we have the 5 of Pentacles. So yes, your shadow very much is you feel left in the dark, and okay, so for some of you who are like, I'm not the problem, they're the problem, this is definitely your shadow, where you are like, no, I am very much recognized, I've done all the work, I have done this and that, and every time I have gone out into the world, they still have not treated me the way that I deserve. However you need to hear that message and feel heard within your heart, definitely take that, because this is a shadow coming through from you. And that's why Spirit is saying that you can beautifully trust this new transformation, this butterfly, this faith that you have grown. So that's the real thing too, like just understanding what foundations you have grown within yourself to move forward. So I know we talk here that this reading can be for your partnerships, but it also is for yourself internally. No matter why you started listening to this, there is still always a message for your own soul. And so again, the thing for the person with this shadow may not really resonate with the rest of these, but this is why it's going to be so important for you to work through and feel out exactly why you feel a little bit left out in the cold, and understanding how you built a new foundation outside. Okay, so that's a very important imagery that's coming through here, is that your foundations were built outside then. Like you picked up the tools, you did it, you got it done, and now you can expand your horizons. And so instead of seeing yourself as out in the cold, I'm hearing like you didn't need their foundations in order for you to feel safe. So it's almost like you're focusing energy on the wrong closed door, and it's time to turn more to the expansive horizon that is available to you, because there's so many other doors that exist. Okay, take that how it resonates for you. Again, these are definitely more shadows, and for you to work through and understand maybe how you might be holding yourself back instead of living in your best alignment. So let's go ahead and continue on. Next, we do have, I mentioned this in the Divine Masculine, I have these Healing with the Angels Oracle cards, and these were my very first card deck, so I'm very excited to have another copy of this. Okay, very interesting. So for you, we have healing. We actually had this come out for the Divine Masculine as well. And so again, this is confirmation. This is actually twofold for you guys. But this is for sure confirmation that you yourself have gone through all the healing that you have needed to. Sorry, I want to, when I say that, I mean in regards to being where you want to be. So there are still going to be moments where you still need to learn lessons, moments where you still need to heal from. There may still be moments from your past that you're healing from, but this is more confirmation from Spirit saying like you're over the biggest hill kind of situation in regards to it. So the other thing that is coming through too is that you yourself have very healing energy, so you are supporting those around you. I'm hearing primarily for your own connections and partnerships that you just kind of have been exuding this healing. Like we're seeing again that those bonds are being healed and trusted in again. So this is just beautiful confirmation again that you kind of are the embodiment of this energy, and that you are the one supporting this work and putting it through. So this seems it's very interesting, because something that I'm also hearing in regards to this is it seems like you're being the divine feminine, whether or not you have a divine masculine within your life, and whether or not like you've built enough protection around you, whether or not your divine masculine did it for you to where you now feel comfortable enough sharing who you are in your full divinity. And again, I think that's coming through because of the transformation into the maiden, and the fact that you are now more willing to celebrate your energy and where you're at in order to attract those like-minded people to you. So very beautiful energy. And then we do have another angel card. Nice. Okay, so we have answered prayer. So we've already been saying this throughout this reading. You have had confirmation after confirmation. So whatever your Ten of Pentacles looks like, whatever you have been putting out there for the universe, asking and praying for it, this is your confirmation. We're just going to leave that right there too. I just heard something too. For those of you who are like, no, that message doesn't resonate for me, maybe think again around if there has been any messages around what your prayer was for, but you needed to take certain actions, because that might be why there's a miscommunication I'm hearing between Spirit, but everyone has an answered prayer here. Okay, and then for us next, we have our messages from the mermaids, and so we have decisions. So we did see this come up with the Two of Swords. We definitely are seeing the fact that you're being faced with making a decision moving forward. Something coming through from Spirit is, yes, you do have discernment. We have seen Freya come up for you guys before. And so I'm also hearing like you made the decision back with the Seven of Pentacles. And so you are seeing more of the, when I say consequences, I don't mean the negative consequences. I mean the word very literally in regards to be they negative or positive, just consequences. So you're just really seeing those kind of manifest now. So it's this very interesting energy where you're seeing the manifestations from your previous decisions, and now you're being asked to make new decisions. So, and it, sorry, I'm trying not to repeat the same messages over and over again, but really it is just echoing the same message that it is, you are able to start trusting into your heart and what it wants to do. And if you need to, just certainly work through your mental mind and what is holding you back. Okay, and then we do have another mermaid, and then we have discernment. This is just confirmation that you are discerning. If you, okay, if you are so unsure about like what to do, I'm hearing some pendulum work would be really good for you. If you are unsure about what a pendulum is, you can also just flip a coin. And then, but ultimately, what I'm hearing is that you can use something to where you kind of are putting your intention and your energy into the question, and then when you ask the question, you will then be able to trust your intuition a little bit more, but it helps you kind of externalize it so that you can truly be faced with your discernment. Something else coming through is maybe you need to talk to yourself in the mirror, and it might seem like you're talking to someone else, but it really is just going to be like your higher self coming out is ultimately what I'm hearing. So this is more so for anyone who is like still struggling with like, am I truly discerning? Am I truly making the right decisions? But for most of you, again, a lot of this pile has just been more about confirmation, about being able to trust yourself. You've put in the work. So if nothing else, as long as you trust the decision that you make, or if nothing else, you can trust the decisions you make is coming through. Okay. And then we do have another mermaid, and we have truth. Okay. So actually coming through here, very interesting. This is twofold. So through your decisions and discernment, not only will your own truth come out, but I'm hearing that a certain truth is going to be coming out to you. That might be in regards to your answered prayer for some of you. That also might be in regards to the healing that is being done. But this is another reason why we are seeing bridges come out as the eternal flame, because we are seeing that you were illuminating everything around you, right? Something too with the shadows was that there was a sense of disillusion and needing to cut those certain cords. So you were seeing the truth of the situation from every perspective is what I'm hearing. The reason why I'm wanting to really discern it, or really make sure that this is coming out, is because it is not just like, oh, the truth of the situation, yes, but I mean like truths that maybe don't necessarily affect your life are going to be coming out because of your energy. And it's not anything bad at all. Like, it is all just part of the divine timing of it. But this really is part of the reason why you can trust in the situations now, because it's going to be difficult for people to lie to you is what I'm hearing, essentially. Like, and if they have been lying, they're going to feel this like overwhelming need to tell you the truth. So very interesting energy. I definitely it's definitely just more confirmation too of that goddess energy that everyone has within them around the fact of you are deserving to not be lied to. You are deserving to have someone communicate effectively to you. And so that is what this card is coming through, is that you recognize that within yourself, and therefore others must recognize and respect you for that energy as well. And so very great. Again, confirmation. So we do now have our wisdom of the House of Night. Okay, this is so interesting because this came out for the Divine Masculine as well. So forbidden. For you, this is so interesting because the thing that I'm seeing as forbidden is staying inside. Like, it's almost like, okay, nope, this is twofold. Okay, we had mentioned earlier about the Five of Pentacles. For some of you, it is in regards to that shadow around that door that was closed to you, and you were still trying to get in there, even though out of survival, you built a foundation outside of it. And so Spirit is saying, like, no, that doorway was not meant for you. Like, it was shut against you for your own protection. I'm hearing like rejection is protection kind of situation. And so something too coming forward is for anyone who is not in connection with their Divine Masculine and have been waiting on an ex to return. This is Spirit, but you aren't sure, like, excuse me, Leo, but you aren't sure if he is, if the messages you've been receiving about your Divine Masculine are about an ex or about a new connection. This is Spirit's confirmation that it is going to be about a new connection. And so for those, this is for those who do not know their masculine, for sure, right? So this is, yes. Use your discernment, your lovely discernment, to read the messages that I'm saying and to pick up on the patterns that are within your life in regards to that certain message. But the other thing just coming through is that can also mean in regards to faith. So maybe for some of you, you've been trying, and career, for some of you, you have been trying very hard to work through being someone else. And Spirit is saying, like, it is like, that pathway is just not meant for you. Like, that type of lifestyle is just not meant for you. Not necessarily that you can't do it, by the way, is what I'm hearing. So like something too coming through is like, maybe you are really good at being maybe you're a really good artist, and like people are like, wow, like you could go to the top, you could be one of those You could really start selling these masterpieces and be in art galleries. But that was never really your passion. You're like, I straight up actually want to be a part of the corporate world and help be an activist in this way. Anyways, take that how you will, because I feel like most people who want to be a part of a corporate world are more within our collective, are more people who are trying to change the corporate world as well. So that's kind of why I'm saying it that way. Anyways, but what I'm saying though is that Spirit is saying it is okay for you to say no to that role that does not truly fit your heart, because what truly fits your heart is going to be what's meant for you. So I was trying to see if I was picking up on any like really forbidden relationships within this, and I'm really not past that ex situation. So for most of you, this is actually just in regards to you were trying too hard to impress a certain type of person, trying to live a certain type of lifestyle, and this is not who you are. And it is okay to say that and to walk away from it. Something too I'm hearing from Spirit is for any of you who are maybe not focusing on the right things, this is going to be again why Spirit is protecting you from going down those endeavors. So I'm hearing, because most of this has been confirmation that your heart knows exactly what it needs to be doing. And if anything that you're like, it feels forbidden, most likely is your mental energy. Or I'm sorry, anything that truly feels forbidden is going to be coming from your heart energy, not your mental energy. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because for some people here, this is a shadow in itself about understanding where that feeling is coming from. Like, is it coming from fear-based belief? Is it coming from shame-based belief? Or is it coming from something greater within yourself? So that's why you are going to need to really understand and trust your level of discernment, because there are things that are not meant for you appearing at this time. And there are certain things that are going to be triggering those shadows of rejection within you. But again, remember that you are Bridget and this internal flame, and you are able to give light to the entire situation. People will tell you the truth. You are able to see the truth of the situation. You know what a closed door looks like. You aren't telling yourself, oh yes, it's perfectly wide open. It's unlocked. I can even go inside. No, you're very much aware, like, no, that door is locked, completely barred from me, and that is okay. So let's go ahead and move on to hopefully a more positive card. It is also our last card. Okay, so we have Trapped coming through. Very, very interesting. I apologize because I've just done a couple of different readings with this card deck. So I can't recall if this actually came out also with the Divine Masculine. So the only reason why I'm saying that is because I am getting very much mirroring energy between the two in regards to not communicating. And the other thing I'm hearing is this is for those who are there for just the self. This is again coming through that there is this certain, so for this story, for this person and this character, they are okay, anyways, for anyone who has actually like read these books, I'm going to very briefly talk about this character, but we're not really going to talk too much about like the moral of his story. So he is essentially turned into a fully crow and then fully human, dependent upon like during the day he's fully crow, and then during the night he is fully human. And the reason why that's coming forward is because he actually typically isn't trapped in the book series. So the reason why it's coming forward within our reading here today, though, is because you are trapping a certain side of yourself that you do not trust. And it's interesting because crows do have, they have a negative connotation associated with them. That's not the word I was trying to think of, but I can't think of the actual word. Anyways, they just have this very like negative, foreboding sense around them to where people tend to fear them, and they tend to be like symbols of death, which when in reality they are also symbols of wisdom. They're symbols of like the crone phase and things like that. So something I'm hearing coming from Spirit is like you have transformed back into the maiden, and so with that, like you've allowed certain fears to come back through, and you have forgotten who you were and the crone lessons that you have already learned and already taught others. So this is kind of Spirit confirming that you are doing this mental energy to yourself. You are the one holding yourself back more than those around you. That this is now become more of a battle of acceptance for the divine feminines. So yeah, and I'm also hearing too, a big reason why this trapped feeling is coming up is because when it comes time to start interacting with the world, so like for instance, if you wanted to like open up all the windows in your house, you might put your bird in a cage because you wouldn't want it to fly out the window. And so Spirit is saying like that's not the point. Like you are part of the bird. You are meant to let your wings soar and fly out the window and trust that you will come back home, or trust that you are still steady and foundational no matter how far you are flying kind of situation. So that really is ultimately the message coming through, is again this trust in understanding yourself and trust in that you can share yourself with others too. And when I mean share, I do mean like thoughts and opinions, but take it how it resonates. And so last thing we have is, I introduced this in the Divine Masculine too, is just the Ancient Lord's Prayer. So this is across many religions, so it may not sound as familiar to you as you are used to, but there may be a message for you, or you may want to take it as a certain affirmation to work on. It also may have a message for you in regards to shadow work and journaling. With that, I'm not going to do any type of reading with it. I'm just going to give you the scriptures. Okay. Don't let us enter forgetfulness. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of others' guilt. Guys, I just love magic sometimes. So, I think that perfectly sums up our reading here today. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you for that beautiful light that you have, for sharing the Lux within you. And I want to thank you again for liking and subscribing. I will definitely see you guys next time. Please do not forget to comment below, gain some support from a like-minded community. And I will see you guys next time. Blessed be.